Over the last couple of days, we have seen Cardano's ADA take a small push to the downside. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the charts for Cardano and taking a look as to whether or not we think actually this move to the downside has come to an end and we can see some room to the upside, or whether actually we've got to go down a little bit further. Following on from the previous videos, we obviously had our NFT mint, not ours, but the mystery free Cardano-based NFT. I think the community really did rally behind that one. If you're in a Discord server, you'll know what I'm talking about there. And if you missed out, then do join us in Discord, because there's another 4 free mints still to come in the future. So do you want to make sure that you're aware of that? I haven't got any dates just yet, so join us in Discord and you'll hopefully be able to try and take part in that. Now, the previous video, we were talking about a potential move upwards, and I still think that is on the horizon. The $1 level, not likely to occur in this particular move to the upside, not without a major correction first, in my opinion. But a move to the upside, I think, is something that is still on the horizon. So let's jump down into the charts and take a look. We'll start things off by taking a look on the Elliott wave theory side of things and the daily chart. By all stretches of the imagination, it looks like we've kind of already finished this move to the upside here, just getting resistance on that 786 fib level. This has already met the minimum expectations for a move to the upside, and this is actually something that you can see from our lows down in December 2022 up to this high point here. Now, there is a lack of a structured move to the upside. We have ourselves with a irregular flat correction as our B wave, and we can see this move come here again, lots of overlapping structures, not giving us a clear structure to kind of run on. Now, if I jump into this and just kind of focus in on a couple of these more recent moves, specifically this little area here, there's something of interest in here that I really want to just kind of focus in on, and that was this little area. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially here, and I want to do is I wanted to check to see whether this, not that one so much, but this one meets those levels, and it just doesn't meet that 1.618 level that you'd need it to. So at best, it is a zigzag pattern 535 overall. With this Fibonacci level is giving us our 786 resistance. You can kind of see that right up there as well. So by all stretches of the imagination on this daily chart, it's definitely running out of room. And so this turn that we see the last couple of days could actually be seeing a much bigger movement to the downside before we get that run to the upside. On the smaller time frames, though, it does look a little bit more bullish, and I do think that we might see a quick turnaround, quickly grab up some higher liquidity, i.e., do a short squeeze on a few people before actually moving down a little bit deeper. And so, for example, if I come into our daily chart here, you can see that we're correcting nicely, right? We can see this right on here on the daily, and we can see that there are some interesting structures that are appearing here and are correcting quite nicely down. And it doesn't look like there's terribly too much more to this correction to the downside. Now, if I jump to the 4-hour, see if it will load the stochastic here. It's got plenty of room to go up or go down, and the 8-hour is already in the oversold area. So on these smaller time frames, it looks quite choppy. It looks very corrective. It looks like we might still have a little bit of room, a little bit of hope to see in a little bit further upside in terms of Cardano. And it could be that actually what's going on here is we're going to get a slight overextension within this last little area, and we can look at it like this with an A, B, C structure, just doing this, taking us out towards 48 cent, probably potentially push a little bit higher than that. Okay, so on the smaller time frames, it does look like there's a little bit more in it, but I don't think it's going to be something that prints a massive green candle on the daily chart. I think the daily chart might just see a wick up and then a move to the downside. So we need to be a little bit cautious there. Now, if I move over to the smart money concepts, you can see that resistance is actually up here around that 52.42. You'll see that right in there. At the moment, we have found ourselves in this premium area where there is an internal sell order block, and this is where the main resistance is at the moment. We can also see that we're above the 250 EMAs on our daily time frame as well, so that gives us a little bit of confidence. And we also printed a change of characterization, signaling that we are in a bullish structure now for Cardano, and what we'll look for here is confirmation of that with a break of structure, or what I would normally refer to as a CTS, a continuation of the trend structure. So what we're looking for essentially here is a potential pullback, okay, brief as it may be, and then a continuation run. And what you'll do is you'll break this area here where we got rejected, and that will become our BOS on the chart. Okay, so we'll look to come down potentially towards equilibrium, and then we'll break up. That would be something that will happen over multiple days, possibly weeks. It's not something that's going to happen instantaneously. But like I said, I still have this idea that we actually just rally up here a little bit further, right? And we create a new resistance. Maybe it is going to be up here a little bit further. Then we pull down, then we get that break of structure later. Okay, so the hourly, 4 hourly, 8 hourly charts, the smaller time frame stuff is telling us that there's still a little bit more room up here before going down, but the daily looks like it needs to correct. It needs to come down. We can, of course, turn this around briefly if we needed to, but there isn't terribly that much more in the tank, I don't think, for Cardano here. From a current position up towards that area, we're probably talking 18%. I don't think it has that in it, but 48 cent is interesting to me, and we take a look at that across here on our weekly time frame, and you can see why. Our weekly 200 and our weekly 50 EMAs. These are of interest to me. The 200 EMA is currently sat at 48.83 cent on the weekly time frame for Cardano's ADA, and the 50 EMA is sat at 50.12 cent for Cardano's ADA. So looking at the weekly time frame, the fact that it is heavily overbought and it's coming up against these two areas, which will be resistance. As we can see, the 200 EMA has been a resistance line on this weekly chart for ADA, and we are likely to see that hopefully hold up as a bit of resistance so we can cool off. Now, the big question, the question that we kind of need to kind of think about is the bottom in for Cardano's ADA? And the further this pushes upwards, the increase in possibility that it is. I'm not going to say that it categorically can stay above this area. It is a strong low at the moment, but that can change. Okay, we have got some areas of interest down here in these these yellow areas, these ones. These are basically fair value gaps that were left behind, but the 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗀 smart money concepts has not tagged those up. So it's possible that this holds out, and it got very close to our 22.23 cent low that we were looking for. We got down to a low here of 23.92. So we got very low to what we were looking for in that bear market. But it does give me a little bit of hope that maybe that because we're so close to that target, we have now actually bottomed out here on Cardano and we rallied up a bit. I'm not 100% confident on that, and I always want to be open to the idea that, you know, structures change and that we can come down into new lower lows should that be a requirement. But for now, it looks pretty strong in my opinion. So we've had our change of character on the daily, switching from bearish to bullish. We have a pretty decent low that was close to the bear market low target that we had, and at the moment we're just looking for a nice healthy correction. It doesn't have to be a new lower low. There's no structure here that I can see at the moment that is going to signal to us that we have to have a new lower low. The only one that is of concern is that this is a potential WXYXZ, WXYX and Z, okay, and we look for, you bet it, zigzag patterns, and there are a lot of them here in Cardano's ADA's chart. So although this is no guarantee that we do that Z wave, okay, there is a probability that we do come down into a Z wave, and that's a new lower low. Okay, so I think there's a low probability at the moment on that because I'm not seeing the need to do this just yet. But if we start coming down in a 5-wave pattern at some point, then we need to be aware that that could be a zigzag that comes down and fills out that Z wave structure. Okay, so we can't say that it's going to happen categorically right now, but if we do start to see those warning signs, then we'll be able to kind of articulate where that Z wave is likely to go if we were to have a new lower low. But for now, I'm just looking for a nice healthy correction once we finish and find this local high, which I anticipate is actually going to be more in line with our weekly, coming and coinciding with that 48.83 200 EMA line. I think that's where the resistance for Cardano is likely to get met. But as I said, the smaller time frames are showing some strength, whereas the larger ones are showing some weaknesses. So we're going to have to sit tight, see how this one plays out over a period of time. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the progression that Cardano ADA has had. We were able to kind of get into some long positions at a pretty decent favorable level. Anyone in the Discord and trader member area will know that I actually jumped the gun a little bit. I think I went long on Cardano about 27 cent, a little bit on the higher side, because that was where I was targeting out that to kind of finish, but we came down that fraction lower towards the 23.92. But obviously since then we've had a really good run to the upside and we've seen some really good profits, but we are still looking for a nice healthy correction at the moment to take us down, and so we can kind of cool off, get everything back into a decent position so that we can then take another long if we needed to. But for now, that's kind of where I see Cardano's ADA, looking for a little bit more room on the smaller time frames, but looking for a bigger correction on the larger time frames. Let me know what your thoughts are on Cardano in the comments down below. If you found this useful, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description down below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.